Who is the real Vincent van Gogh? Everybody loves Vincent van Gogh. He was a famous painter born in the Netherlands, selling only one piece of art in his life, but became the most recognized painter of all time with stunning pieces like the Starry Night and the Sunflowers. He was a pioneer and father of modern art, mythologized as a quintessential tortured artist as he tragically took his own life at 37. He attracts millions of people to museums and exhibitions, sells thousands of posters, not to mention the barrage of Van Gogh's shower curtains, coffee cups, shoes, and fridge magnets. But why do I love Vincent van Gogh? When I was a child, my mother was an avid fan of Van Gogh. Our house was adorned with these paintings hanging on our walls, and biographies about him reside permanently in our living room. My mother installed a curiosity within me as I gazed up at each painting with wonder and was amazed by its morphing movement and its dynamic depictions. In 2014, I visited the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam for the first time. I was dizzy and giddy at the colors, textures, and brushstrokes confronting me at every turn that I had to sit down and take a deep breath. Only after a short break did I stand up once more and allowed myself to be fully embraced by Vincent's world. Each painting offered me a kind hand, reaching out from beyond the canvas and frames in thick impasto to welcome me into Vincent's enthralling and vibrant world. His art truly speaking to me the way it speaks to a lot of people. The Vincent I've grown to love is not the Vincent popular culture speak about. He's more complicated than that. The severed ear, only part of the story. The solitary mad genius slapping paint onto canvas, fiction. So who is the real Vincent van Gogh? He was a man who was stubborn and selfish, but possessed tenderness and compassion. He was a man who didn't want to dwell on the darkness and illness in his life. With each letter I read and each painting I studied, I fell a little more in love with this Vincent, the real Vincent van Gogh. What is heroic about our Vincent is that despite cruel loneliness and depression, Vincent believed in himself. Back then, I hope that my love and millions of other people's love for Vincent would be showcased in a way that honors his legacy and his dedication to art. I received my answer in 2016 when I discovered the development of the world's first fully painted animated feature film, Loving Vincent. The trailer itself knocked me off my feet, and I was over the moon by the idea of a movie that celebrated Vincent's life and acknowledged his undying love to the world around him. In 2019, the film finally graced my screen, and I eagerly watched it with my mother, father, and brother, just like when we walked down the halls of the Van Gogh Museum together, and now we were finally watching these paintings that we've loved come to life. Inspired by 120 paintings and 800 letters, Loving Vincent is undeniably a technical achievement. They interpreted Van Gogh's legacy through a moving picture of oil paintings rendered not by CGI software seen in modern animation, but lovingly by hundreds of human hands. Over the course of 6 years, 125 artists created 65,000 hand-painted frames, using more than 1,000 canvases and 4,500 liters of oil paint. The story of Loving Vincent is set into motion 1 year after Van Gogh has died. Armand Rollin has been tasked to deliver Vincent's last letter to someone with a personal connection to the artist. Armand embarks on a journey of self-discovery as he travels to Auvers, France, meeting a cast of characters who each relate different theories about Vincent's death and reveal his final days. As the film neared its end, all I felt was lost and dazed. It was very different to a 10-year-old me exploring the Van Gogh Museum, dizzy and giddy with excitement. I didn't know what I was watching anymore. I didn't know what the purpose, the significance of the movie was. There was a feeling that swelled in the pit of my stomach, a cloud of confusion that hung over my head. Was this really Loving Vincent? A revolutionary and profound movie that was meant to take my breath away. A movie that honored his legacy and truly, really loves Vincent. I was proven wrong throughout the 95-minute runtime. Some scenes are intended to inspire us to passionately pursue a purpose larger than ourselves. And overall, the movie is a stark, somber reminder that even the most talented among us still succumb to the issues of the soul. However, the biggest downfall of this film is how Van Gogh is captured. He shows up in moody, black and white, photorealistic flashbacks. Why is Vincent being portrayed in this boring monochrome? It's a stark juxtaposition to the brilliantly colored, visually tactile, three-dimensional style seen throughout the movie, which captures vividly Auvergne and its vibrant characters. The only scenes that left a lasting impression on me was when a smiling little girl at the end runs to Vincent, briefly sitting in his lap as he sketches a chicken with skinny legs just like hers he teases. And another where the innkeeper's daughter rushes out into the pelting rain and offers the gleeful Vincent an umbrella. He stands outside, amidst the thunderous storm with a canvas sitting on an easel and a brush in hand to paint the town before him. In these rare moments, he is momentarily at peace and smiling, his childlike happiness and wonder of the world being something that should have been emphasized more throughout a movie that claims to love Vincent and yet doesn't. Loving Vincent is a testament to Vincent van Gogh's captivating legacy that continues to amaze people. Although I was struck with the realization that the portrayal of Vincent bears an uncanny resemblance to many other films about him. All in all, this movie is a reflection of our obsessive fascination with the strange lifestyle he lived, and repeats inaccurate and embellished assumptions about Van Gogh's life regarding his intelligence, painting style, socioeconomic status, and his psychological state. Contrary to popular belief, Vincent was educated, although he spent more than 4 years at school and a few years being taught at home by a governess. By his 20s, he was highly literate. He spoke 3 languages, Dutch, French, and English. He could even read German. He read over 100 books and composed 200 letters. 900 paintings in 10 years is no easy feat, and because of this, it is presumed that Van Gogh painted in a frenzy, impulsively and aggressively lashing paint onto the canvas and visually attacking his pieces. Despite painting quickly, his pictures were carefully planned. He honed his technical skills through deep thought, taking inspiration from other artists, and worked methodically, deeply thinking through his ideas in order to realize them in paint. Many believe that Van Gogh was poverty-stricken. However, this was quite the opposite. Even though he had constant financial problems, for most of his life, he received a good income. At 20, as a young art dealer in London, he earned £90 a year. A workman would have earned a quarter of this. When Van Gogh was a preacher in Bornage, Belgium, he lived a life of self-chosen poverty to understand the plight of the working-class people. Once Vincent set out to become an artist, Theo supported him with a regular financial allowance, and in Arles, received £100 in his first year. Vincent wasn't poor, but he was terrible at managing money. Van Gogh is often loosely described as mad, insane, and an outsider to the art world. Many say that Van Gogh's paintings reveal signs of his insanity, but his way of painting was more of an expression than a reflection of his troubled mind. While living with Theo, Vincent met hundreds of artists and was intimately bound with the avant-garde Parisian art scene, making him more of an insider than an outsider to the art world. Poor, uneducated, mad, insane, antisocial, excluded from the art world, and painting in a frenzy. Does this sound familiar? In the past and even today, many people instinctively associate these attributes to artists, as history is full of long-suffering creative geniuses. It has been normalized to see pain as an essential ingredient to art. And artists overcome with negative emotions or unstable mental states are aligned with the detrimental myth of the tortured artist. In the Cambridge Dictionary, tortured is defined as involving suffering, and an artist is defined as someone who paints, draws, or makes sculptures. By taking these meanings and combining them, the definition of the tortured artist is someone who faces constant torment due to frustrations with art, other people, or the world. The act of creating art requires great suffering. Pain being perceived as an artistic necessity is a result of social contagion, which is the ways ideas, emotions, and behaviors are spread from person to person. The romanticization of the tortured artist is a social contagion that has infected the ideals of the contemporary and modern art scene. This dangerous environment allows mental illness to fester, to be glamorized, and even encouraged in the name of art. Romanticizing mental illness in the lives of artists is a popular trope in movies, books, and in art itself. This is a typical cinematic portrayal of artists where genius goes hand in hand with torment. Even when artists make films about artists, they find it hard to resist this narrative. Heartbreak truly is a bestseller. The dangers that come with artistic expression, the dramas of these tragic tales, draw audiences and filmmakers alike to these stories. By claiming that mental illness is beneficial or desirable for art, sends us down the path of glorifying illness. Writers, artists, and musicians suffer untimely deaths, some which could have been prevented if mental illness wasn't so glamorized by society and seen as an inherent part of creative self-expression. It is hardly a surprise that so many films have been made about Vincent's tragic life, from Minnelli's Lust for Life, Altman's Vincent and Theo to Schnabel's At Eternity's Gate. Van Gogh is the poster child for the tortured artist, an artist struggling with mental illness, psychotic episodes, committing suicide at the age of 37, and yet driven to share what he saw in the world and was incredibly gifted and talented. Vincent is seen as a misunderstood genius, a martyr, a tormented soul in search of the truth, an inspired madman. In today's multimedia society with mass communication, radical changes in people's conception of art and the role of film, television, and video influence the use of myths assigned to artists in their work. Framing Van Gogh as a mad genius reduces him to his illness. He wasn't a great painter because of poor mental health, nor did he allow it to stop him from painting. Although he had a capacity for getting carried away, when he put this into his art, he created paintings that carry us all away. What makes an artist productive or successful is unclear, unpredictable, and changing. Whether or not you experience mental illness, you can be a person sensitive to the world around you, a thinking and feeling and expressive person able to make things that are meaningful to other people. The impact of Vincent van Gogh's legacy on our world today is something we should cherish more than his pain. We need to be shown the real Vincent van Gogh. We need to understand the man who possessed intense emotions beyond our understanding, who felt deeply and tenderly. We as an audience should be allowed to see the man whose food staples were coffee, cigarettes, and bread, placed candles in his hat to paint at night, used colored balls of wool to experiment with color, and was inspired by the beauty of Japanese art. He was a man who loved the world he saw wholeheartedly and appreciated every single inch of life that graced his eyes. The real Vincent van Gogh encourages us to find our passions, to push ourselves, to try new things, to always be ourselves, to slow down and take a deep breath and admire the beauty around us, to love and work from the fullness of our hearts, and to pursue our dreams and leave an imprint on the world with our transient lives. What are the things in life that inspires you or stimulates your creativity? By focusing on that question, we can reframe the discourse about how art happens, and we can better understand and celebrate the passion of artists like Van Gogh. We can stop the dangerous romanticization of the tortured artists in the art community, in the media, and around the world. Then only can we tell Vincent that this world was meant for one as beautiful as you. Thank you.